Welcome to the Catapult Effect, a podcast where professionals like you turn challenges into opportunities for extraordinary growth. If you're tired of struggling, feeling lost, and ready to catapult yourself into the best version of you, then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Katie Wrigley.
Welcome back to the Catapult Effect podcast. I am your host, Katie Wrigley, and I have an amazing guest with me again today. I actually first heard of him on the Chris Voss show last year, and I am thrilled to be able to bring you this guest today. John Graham Harper is a master trainer with over 15 years of experience in the fitness industry, excelling in gym management, fitness technology, and operations. He founded John Graham Fitness, worked with elite athletes at Mission Hills, and co-founded multiple gyms. John also launched WCFN White Collar Fight Night, a successful charity boxing event for executives. After experiencing injuries in his fitness career, John discovered the power of red light therapy, leading him to found Lumaflex, the world's first FDA Class II cleared portable, flexible, and waterproof red light therapy device. Lumaflex is designed to enhance athletic performance, recovery, and overall well-being. Under John's leadership, Lumaflex has garnered prestigious awards like Time Magazine's Best Innovation of 2023 and Lifespan Certification 2024, positioning it as a leader in the fitness and recovery industry. His mission is to mainstream the use of red light therapy for optimizing health and performance worldwide. Welcome to the Catapult Effect podcast, John. I am thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much, Katie. That's quite an introduction. I didn't know it's nice to have it read back to you.
I know what you mean. Yeah, when I hear my bio sometimes, I'm like, oh, wow, thanks.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to share with the audience a little bit of your journey? What led you to, we talked about a little bit in the intro, but on a more personal side, what was happening in your quest for fitness that led you over to red light therapy?
Yeah, I started out as a very serious competitive athlete. I think I was chasing validation, right? Chasing self-love, self-gratification. And
familiar.
I think it's something that I think is innate in a lot of athletes and high performance athletes, but it's just something you got to be aware of and manage. You don't want to let it get too destructive. But it was very destructive back in my early days, looking for punishment, looking for the aggressive challenges. So I had a lot of injuries that I had in rugby and in amateur boxing, but I was doing quite well. But just obviously the injuries kind of threw me to another sport. That was kind of where I would stop a sport, is when I would get too injured to continue on, and then I would go and try to do another sport. But with boxing, I had a tumor in my head through micro traumas in the brain.
Oh my gosh.
And after that, I was advised not to do any impact sports for a while. I went into bodybuilding after that, did quite well. I averaged second place in a few competitions, but it wasn't really a competition that suited me, where you could really compete against somebody. Like in the ring, it's such a wonderful experience. You get such a lot of, it's such a thrill, to be mando in the ring with someone. But all those injuries obviously really taught me to be more humble, to be more aware of my inner self, rather than focus on my mental and emotional health rather than just my physical health. But my wife introduced me to red light therapy, and I was healed after, it was about 2 weeks using this lamp that was quite cumbersome and very difficult to use. It was a good device. It worked. And that lamp is still in most hospitals. It's like a device more for the medical side.
Mm-hmm.
But it triggered an interest into red light therapy. And I went down the rabbit hole of all the wonderful benefits that happen with light, the cellular mechanisms that happen with increased blood circulation, increased ATP and anti-inflammation. These, how it can actually service so many different human conditions. But the product development got my interest because I wanted to build something that was more tailored to me as an active individual who is on the go. So mainstreaming red light therapy is for sure the goal, because it's such a powerful treatment. It's natural, right? It's available to us because it's from the sun, but it's not used as much as it should. It's kind of in the biohacking optimizers, this sort of community. And a lot of the information that they put out about natural treatment, it's complex. And I think your average person who's sitting on the couch dealing with lower back pain or dealing with neck pain or dealing with stress, and all they're trying to, they don't relate to it, and they're just trying to get through their day, right? So
Yeah.
I want to kind of package red light therapy, make it, almost trendy to adopt. And that's where Lumaflex, I think, can fit in quite well, with a very portable, easy to use, durable, flexible. And yes, this one is environment and temperature tested, so it's fully waterproof. So it's something that I believe we're not just innovating the light therapy, we're not innovating portable devices, we're innovating people's time, because you can really take it with you and use it. You don't have to adapt to the product can adapt to you. So, we're innovating the shower space, when you're in a bath or in an ice bath or in a jacuzzi or in a sauna, or you're doing something and you're in an environment that may be treacherous, like I'm even looking at introducing this to the military. So that's kind of the whole mission of Lumaflex, is to innovate on people's time and introduce and mainstream red light therapy to the masses, to every and any and all people, not just the informed biohackers and the people that are up to date on all the latest Andrew Huberman and Joe Rogan and Gary Brecka information, but anybody that is, I want it to somehow filter down to those people that truly can use it, right?
Yeah. I love Huberman and Rogan, by the way. And I think you're doing a fantastic job at mainstreaming this, because I'm hearing more and more people start to talk about red light therapy and the benefits of this. So can you tap into a little bit of the science? I have so many questions for you, but if you can tap into a little bit more of the science behind why red light therapy works, especially for people in pain. And I love that this is something people can do on the fly, because I love cognitive movement, but you have to stop, do a session. Whereas if there is definitely occasion to do something on the fly where I may not have a half an hour, an hour to stop, and my back's trying to signal me and I don't have a chance to really pay attention to what's in it. I don't have that space to do my normal techniques. Your Lumaflex device would be amazing in those cases. So I'm going to stop talking so you can tell us about the science.
That's right. Yeah, like it's great. Like the science is something that everybody is trying. It's people explain it, and they explain it in ways that, again, are very complex. It doesn't stick with you. You don't relate to it, and you're not going to take the first step to introduce it into your life. So when launching the product, before, like you mentioned, the Chris Voss show those years ago, it's like a year ago, maybe.
Yep. Just a little over a year ago. Yeah.
Feels like years. But we were, at that time, it was all about the product, innovating a great product, and the product is everything. Product is the solution, but it's not education is a very key part of it, and people want to understand. So where we are right now with Lumaflex is I've launched the Lumaflex Academy, which I'm bringing on a large team of scientists that are all launching different courses. And the main goal with the Lumaflex Academy is to package the information so it's digestible, it's easy to adopt. And we've launched the first course, which is the Lumaflex Foundations course. And in that, we go through, the science of red light therapy, the understanding of the Lumaflex product line, why portability, why touching skin. And then most importantly, it gives you information about actually how to apply it, how to use it. And even not just for yourself, but your family and friends, your clients, your trainees, people that have questions. I have this pain, I have this condition. You're able to give them, some advice and support. So anyone listening, if you want access to the Foundations course, just send me a message on my Instagram, give me your email, and I'll give you full access. That can be something special. I want to get the word out there.
Thank you.
And it took a long time to build this initial course, and now it's just about getting it out there. But very quickly, what you have to remember about red and infrared light is it's from the sun. It's nothing special. It's not like some magical thing that was made in a laboratory. It's just from the sun.
Yep.
And we're exposed to red and infrared light all the time. Optimal times is sunrise and sunset. That's where we get a lot of pure red and infrared light. So those wavelengths of light, we've taken those nanometers and we put them into a device, and you're getting a very high dose of those wavelengths. So the wavelengths that we have here in the Lumaflex are 630 and 850. 630 is red light, which goes about an inch into the body. Infrared light can go much deeper. So 850 with an infrared light goes about 4 inches into the body. And that's sort of the difference with the nanometers, is the distance that it goes into the body. So addressing surface level pain, and then addressing deep tissue, a deep bone pain, joint pain, arthritis, things of this nature, right? So the wavelengths of light are penetrating your skin and activating your mitochondria. Your body is, as a human, you're made up of cells, billions of cells. The driver of those cells, the engine, the things that make the cell go, is the mitochondria. So if you're giving energy to the mitochondria, the cell can do its job. So a misunderstanding that a lot of people have is the light healing me? Yes, it's healing you, but how it works is the light gives your cells energy and the cells heal you. So it's giving your body energy to heal itself. It's the same as if, you're plugging in your phone, right? When your phone starts to run out of battery, the apps start to get slower, right? You're sort of like, I got to find a cord. I got to get it charged. It's the same with our bodies. When we're drained and we're depleted of energy, when we're lethargic, we need energy, and we're like a solar panel, and the light can give us energy, right? So that's, if we think of it that way, that's sort of a very simple way to understand it. But then from there, as people research more and more and more, you can understand the very deep mechanisms of the cell and actually how it works. And this is all wonderful information that is covered in that course. And I love the way we packaged it. That my head scientist, he's actually the head of our education, Peter Forehand. He's very good at getting complex ideas of light that are still not really integrated into any education system in the world. There's not really a course or a degree on light therapy out there right now. So he's very good at packaging it and making sure that, let's start from, how can we make a 4-year-old understand it? And then we can work from there. And anytime we need to, we can come back and simply explain it. Your body's like a battery, and you're a solar panel. You're taking energy from the sun, and it's giving you energy. So with that in mind, like pain management, it does, if you're talking about light, you're talking about cellular health. You're talking about cellular energy. So it doesn't just service pain. It does anything that the cell needs to do, it can do. So that's where you see devices for the head, right, to help you grow hair. You see masks, beauty masks, to help boost collagen in your skin. There are devices that are used, very funny, but a little, to help you increase testosterone for men. Like there's I've seen devices on the market that are in like clinics to support male testosterone. They put it, on their jewels,
on the goods.
And it's to help them, to be able to have a baby, right? There's a lot of devices out there, but at the end, it's all working on a cellular level.
Wow.
That's how it works.
And that makes total sense to me. And I'm not going to try to explain the science, because I can't. I don't understand it deep enough. But I've researched this. And what I love about what you're saying, you're gathering my attention more and more, and I'm sure the listeners are feeling the same, is when basically our body has all kinds of shortcuts. And when you learn how to hack those shortcuts, you have amazing health. And that's what you're talking about with red light therapy, if I'm hearing you correctly, is you do something that red light activates at the cellular level. And then those cellular levels those cells are now activated to help you heal, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most simplest way and if we keep hammering home this message, this is where I think we're going to get more adoption of red light therapy. People will start saying, oh, it's this, it's actually like there is some science behind it. I understand it. I should try this. Maybe I'll put away, the pills. Maybe I won't, get a prescription or get a surgery. Maybe it's worth trying this first, because, at the end of the day, there are a lot of light therapy brands out there. And my message always with my team, as the company is growing and we're very much global, I always tell the team, like, we're not in competition with other light therapy brands. We're in competition with pharmaceuticals. We're providing a natural means to address these issues. So let's focus on not competing with each other. We're in the same family. we're growing the industry, we're growing the awareness, and we all need to help each other out because it's still so vastly unknown. And
Yes.
it's not the impact that we want to achieve. All of us, I'm sure, in photobiomodulation, we are still a few years away from it being widely adopted.
Yeah. And there's a couple of people, remind me after we wrap this, but there's a couple of people I want to connect you to who would love what you're talking about. And they are in front of huge communities. And it gets you exactly where you were saying you wanted to dive more into military. They've got direct access. So just remind me about that later.
Yes, please.
My
My
mind is
passion
going.
with the military is
Yeah.
because I think there's a statistic out there, 44 suicides from veterans a day. So
Yeah,
it's very serious. It's a very serious problem. And I
it
think
is.
when I've been involved with some veterans organizations, and some of them provide natural treatment, and it's wonderful when I see how people transform. There's one actually in Boca. It's like 40 minutes from the office, and it's amazing work that they're doing. So I want to like start doing sponsorship programs where I can have people, different vets in different areas of America that I can start sponsoring units for, because it's transformative. And something that actually hit me, there was a guy, a lot of my friends have gone to the military and they have these conditions. And me personally knowing them, I've been able to support them, and they found relief, they found healing. But one gentleman in particular I met at a veterans organization event. He was a reserve, and he told me his story about how he was given experimental drugs. And it was a very sad story. He was telling me, he was very open. I was surprised to hear this story at an event, just standing there while, but he was very open about it. He sort of had that whole, like, I have nothing to lose attitude. Right. But I recently found out that he committed suicide. He just couldn't handle it anymore. It was really, because I remember, someone you just meet, I remember his face. I can't even remember his name, but like it was just a very sad story that, life's very short. And a lot of times these things can easily be prevented. And we're not talking about doing some magical, drug in a laboratory it's natural. It's available to us. It's outside all the time. It's
Right.
just a higher dose, and it's concentrated. And there's a very simple protocol you can do, and you could potentially save someone's life. Right.
So is there any risk of sunburn, or is it not those waves?
Sorry, say again.
Is there any risk of sunburn, or is it not those waves?
Yeah. So actually, red and infrared light support boosting your body's SPF. So it actually conditions your body against the harmful rays of light, which are the UV light. So you'll see people actually get less and less sunburn the more that they are exposed to red light. It's it's something that I should have known as a kid, a little white boy,
Yeah.
My mom
Yeah.
chasing me with, sunblock. Come on, put this on. She should have just done. But yeah, it's that those rays of light come throughout, like red and infrared light available to us right now, but UV light is available is what's prominent, and that's catabolic to ourselves. That
Okay.
our body.
Right.
So we want to be waking up at sunrise. Back like in Bible times, we wake up at sunrise, we get our red and infrared light, and then throughout the day we would be less in the light. We would be under shelter, but still just this pattern of wake up sunrise and sleep at sunset. We would be very conditioned. Back in those times, we were very conditioned on our skin to deal with the UV light.
Right. And that makes sense. And we didn't even have SPF until
that, those tanning beds.
Yeah.
The tanning beds that, and there's a lot of discussion of like, it's harmful for your body and all of this. Cause it's UV light, right? But they're actually designing tanning beds, which have like the UV light and then red light. They like stack them together to support, like you're not actually destroying your skin for those later years. Cause you've seen those 80-year-old guys, running on, Venice Beach, and you look at them and you're like, wow, like their skin is just almost falling off. Right.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a way in which the tanning bed market can continue if they incorporate, the red and infrared light nanometers. We'll see.
Wow. That's amazing. And so it sounds like you're conditioning the skin against sunburn by exposing it to different light waves from the sun so that it's more tolerant to the UV.
Yes.
And it makes sense that we would have, and I'm sorry I talked over you before. It's the audio on this, like we talked about, is a little off.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense that like back like caveman days, we were actually much healthier, even though we had a lot more threats. We
That's
actually
right.
had less stress then, and we were much healthier because we had our circadian rhythms down. And these devices that we rely on so much, now we've got a fake source of sunlight that tells our brain to wake up when we want to go to bed, and it's throwing. So not to mention all the toxicity that can come out of that device. That's a conversation for another day.
Yes, that's right.
But it everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like there's a lot of applications. And so I'm thinking about the clients that have come into me, like, what can this do to help someone who's had a head injury or cognitive decline, Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, etc.? I'm going to pause there, and I got so many more questions.
Yes. So for the probably in photobiomodulation, I feel that the most interesting area in photobiomodulation science is eyesight. It's amazing the science that's coming out about how actually eyesight can improve. People don't need to wear glasses anymore when they start looking at red and infrared light, like up to 3 minutes a day. That's very exciting. Joe Rogan talks about that. He said he like didn't need to use glasses anymore. But that is something that, like for me with the manual, when I give the specs, putting on my Lumaflex cap, I always say like, don't look at the light, keep your eyes closed. It's something that I have to say. But it's interesting how it's becoming more and more used to support eye health.
Wow.
And then the other area is the brain. Probably the most exciting area is the brain. Now, the thing with the brain is you need a very deep nanometer to go into the brain. And
Yep.
that's when you're talking about using light therapy to potentially, cure and support Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, right? And there's a lady I know. She's a scientist who specializes in this, and her device is called the Thrive. And the nanometer that she has for the headpiece is 1070, a very deep nanometer. So this can service like your brain. If you're feeling like you need a morning boost, I'll wake up and I'll get the device and I'll put it on my head. But in terms of actually, supporting neurodegenerative diseases, you need a very deep nanometer. So looking at devices for the brain, I think there's about 4 companies which are quite prominent, incredible research, behind them. They all have like science boards and research labs, and Thrive, this brand being one of them, is all of them will have very strong nanometers that go deep into the brain. That's kind of is where the magic happens in terms of like actually servicing and potentially even curing, dare I say, these neurodegenerative diseases. But if you look up Thrive, you can see all her clients, they all have these conditions with the brain, and you see some of their testimonials, and you see how they are slowly transforming back and reversing these conditions. But so that's very, very exciting. That's like the medical side.
Wow.
But amazing where we're going to be in 5 years. It's going to be great with this technology.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. It sounds incredible. I'm definitely going to get that information before we wrap too, because there's a few people I have in mind that would be really interested to hear about it. What other applications could you use your specific device for? Like a little, like, I'm thinking selfishly here, like I always seem to have a runny nose. It's gotten so much better as I've done a lot of holistic work, but I'm still, when I get out into cold weather, my nose starts running. Is that something I could use it for, like putting it over my face and helping to clear up that last little bit of
Surface
irritation in
level,
there?
right? So that's this, like if you have a nanometer, this is a dual nanometer. So that means one chip
Ooh,
has both red and infrared in one chip. So the
okay.
red light actually programmed into the LED supports the infrared light going in. So anything surface level like sinuses is always something that you could use this device for. But where I really like, this is FDA cleared for hair loss, and for skin rejuvenation. Like I have I think it's 6 awards I have now for product design. And I have
Wow.
another design award coming from, I think it's Cosmoprof. It's like a beauty show. And even though that's not my target, and I'm I'm not really focused on the beauty market at all. There's other devices out there, but what they liked about this was because of the nanometers, it is cleared for skin rejuvenation. So women buy it because when they buy an LED mask, that can only service their face, whereas with this can service all those other areas, any pain conditions, all of this, even their head, but then they can just apply it to their face. But Lumaflex is the message I always push is pain management. That's where I want to make the impact.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like people will try, like if you're dealing with pain, you have something that you've tried everything and you don't want to try pharmaceuticals and you're sort of looking for an alternative. I feel like that is the person that will say, okay, I'll try light therapy. Let's see how it works. So all my messaging and branding is usually like to do with, to provide a solution to pain. And that's pain like from, everything from post-training, pain like muscle pain, to arthritis, to, real chronic pain. I had a guy in New York a couple of weeks ago. We filmed this video of this testimony. It was so inspiring. This guy like had a shoulder, a sore shoulder for like, it was the number of years, like 20 years. He was like, oh, I haven't been able to sleep on this shoulder, for this whole time. Like this is always, it's like a stiff shoulder. And we gave him, the Lumaflex. He tried it for 10 minutes and then he was moving his shoulder around and he ran off and he called his wife. And it was a nice thing, when you film something like that, you're like, wow, it's a very powerful testimony. But those sorts of reactions, they happen, but it's all, people's responses are always different because everybody is different. Everyone is different ages. They have different backgrounds. They have different levels of inflammation. Like you were mentioning, like, back in caveman times, even though, there were dangers in terms of like getting attacked by a wild animal, we just didn't have the inflammation that we're always exposed to now with our phones, with artificial light. Inflammation is something that is just so prominent in our world now. Have like, let's say Samantha is lost her job, right? She's lost her job and she's gonna lose her house. So she's stressed, right? So she has inflammation. Then you have, Billy who has cancer, and they both have inflammation, but some is much more significant. So when they use red light or they take on a treatment, the responses is going to be different. It's going to probably be a very tough battle to fight with cancer versus the lady who's feeling a bit stressed because she's lost her job, right? So inflammation varies person to person, and people's response rates, people's like internal batteries, fill up and deplete at different rates. So you'll get like, like that gentleman with the shoulder, you'll get a case like this, and then you'll see another case where, some guy, he did a bicep workout and he's like, oh, my biceps are sore. And it may take like two days for him to find relief. Right. So it's always different to each person. And but what I can say with light therapy, the rule that I have with this device is I worked with 10 minutes. So the timer on the device, this has 10 minutes. So you turn it on, after 10 minutes, it turns off. So I worked with the 10-minute time frame and I said, what's the maximum amount of dose that I can give in 10 minutes that I can really promise some pain relief? And from that time, we worked backwards. But the rule with this device is it must touch the skin. Because, like when the device is far away, some people may get a good dose, but some people won't. It's kind of a hit and miss. Whereas if I apply it to the skin, I'm not losing any treatment. The light is not, reflecting or dissipating anywhere. So I can, in my spec sheet, the powered output, I can promise you that that's what you get in 10 minutes. So that's the thing with treatment. For any device, I would say to guarantee a result is have it touch skin. Don't let the light reflect. But also there is benefit to having a device like this, but that's more for an overall well-being, outcome, not so much a pain treatment outcome, if that makes sense.
It does. Because again, you're talking about activating at the cellular level. So if there's something off there, the cells actually have the intelligence within them to know what they need to do to fix that, to get those cells back into a healthy state. So in the absence of those cells that need repair, it's going to go out throughout the body. And like it kind of reminds me almost like autophagy. Like when people do intermittent fasting, it's going to take like, okay, here's part of a cell here, here's part of a cell here. It's going to kind of put them together instead of having cells that aren't as functional. It's going to kind of glue together what's there. And I don't think that's what I'm hearing you say, but you're activating those cells that may not be that healthy in there. And so if there isn't some kind of chronic condition, the result will be the overall wellness. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. Like we tell them to aim at the pain, aim at the condition, but just like you said, the cytokines will travel to the area that has inflammation and will service that area. I mean, like you said, the body's an incredible. It's incredible. Cells have their own intelligence, and it's a very amazing thing to see, and to be part of this space in photobiomodulation in this community where you have access to so much clinical research, on the cutting edge as it develops day by day. It's very, very exciting. I see in 5 years' time, I think every person, at least in the modern world, will have 3 devices that have red light therapy or light therapy. Maybe it'll be for beauty or like a pen, to help, with blemishes, and one for pain management, maybe one larger device at home. But I think you'll see an average of 3 devices in every home, I think, in the next 5 years.
I think that would be a very healthy world, and I love how you keep differentiating between the pain and the beauty markets, and they are very different markets. But as a female who's 50 and who has other aging friends, the aging process can actually be really painful. And so if there's easy things we can do to help not look our age from the outside, I know a lot of women that are going to take that. Like for me personally, I decided before any of the collagen started to leave my body that I'm not one that's going to go for elective surgery. My body doesn't like surgery. It's just not a good idea for me. But I encourage every person to do whatever makes them feel the best. And the chances are you're going to feel the best when you're going inside and you're doing that inner work. But it doesn't mean you can't find some fixes to help boost your body's natural resources and replenish some of what you may have lost over the course of time. And that alone, just feeling better about yourself, that can help lower pain even without putting a device directly on it. So I actually see why the beauty industry keeps coming to you, because there's an indirect correlation. And, a lot of times you can see in Hollywood the pain of aging with a lot of these actors and actresses that are getting really extreme plastic surgery. And like you see them from one movie to the next, you're like, who is that? Like, what did they do? And it breaks my heart because they're beautiful people. Like they wouldn't be in Hollywood unless they were beautiful, and they don't see it. And there's so much judgment with aging too.
That's right. I think it's the judgment.
Yeah, it is. And especially with women, and I'm not trying to make men bad here, but we get kicked out of things a lot earlier in life than men do. And it's just the way things are right now. I don't want to go down that tangent in there, but I did want to kind of bring home, this actually does touch on the pain of aging in a very easy, very discreet solution you can do in your home and feel good about doing that. I'm a big fan of any little natural things we can do to boost our wellness.
Exactly right. That's true.
Are there any contraindications? Like, can this work? I had a knee replacement and I have a bunch of scar tissue. Would I be able to use it over that, or is it not safe to do with a prosthetic?
No, I mean, there's really no known negative side effects to red and infrared light. It's just the sun. It's only where the issue is if somebody has a skin condition where they are allergic to light.
Okay.
You have those, and those people are aware of it and they're cautious about going outside. But speaking of contraindications, there's no one wants to do a study on heart conditions and red light therapy because who's going to do that study? No one wants to do a study on pregnancy and red light therapy.
No.
Right. But it's just, but if I take off the Lumaflex hat and I put on, and I'm talking with all these photobiomodulation scientists who devoted their lives to red light therapy. They've devoted their lives to it. It's all they do. They eat, sleep, breathe red light therapy, and they've studied it. They've been part of teams. They do their own research. They will tell you, like, any condition that comes up, they'll say, you should apply red light therapy. You should apply. Like, that's the first thing you should do. But of course, in my manual, I say things like, don't use if you have a heart condition. Don't use if you're pregnant. Don't use, don't look at the panels, with the naked eye. Like, I have to say certain things like this that obviously, to maintain it has to be safe. I can't, I've got liability, but,
Right.
taking off the Lumaflex hat, I would encourage anybody to go down the rabbit hole and learn about all the amazing science that's done, because the FDA is very tricky. Like, the FDA, I can't make a claim, and I can say red light therapy does this. You have to be very careful in the messaging and the terminology, because the FDA is very, very, very tricky.
Oh, yes, they are.
For example, with the brain, with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, these diseases, right? There is lots of clinical research to support vast improvement using red light therapy for those conditions. But in order to get approved by FDA, you have to pay a lot of money. It's like millions of dollars you have to pay. And then I think the process is like maybe 2-3 years, right? And then if the brand or if the product, whoever's building the product that is making, submitting it, they have about like a year to launch their product, to sell it, because once that approval is out there, other brands can use them as a predicate and they can launch as well. But now, like, there's no FDA approved device for those conditions, but there's clinical research that supports it. And another funny thing that, like, just how the system is broken. Like, if I want a clinical study on, say, arthritis and red light therapy, I have to pay for that study. It's like an average,
Right.
Some studies are like $100, $200, like $400, depends. I have to pay for the study. But the science team that did the research, they have to pay to the publisher, and then the publisher charges me. And I was like, wait, that's broken. You should, what I would love to do is create a platform where basically I wouldn't charge to publish. They could just, but obviously they would have to trust my platform, right? But it's just, I feel like the money's going to the wrong places is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
don't get me started on that.
We should be speeding it up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have similar challenges with cognitive movement. Like, we aren't covered by FDA. We're not medical, even though that's where everybody wants to put us. But we help symptoms of the stress of the mental part of, like, I can't, even though we've had miracle after miracle, we can't say we cure anything, and we're fine with that. Like, but we anecdotally, cognitive movement has been involved with multiple cases of spontaneous remission with several different conditions, including cancer. But I can't say we cured it. But cognitive movement was a part of someone suddenly not having life-threatening tumors anymore. And there's been several cases of that. So, but yeah, the FDA is definitely tricky. That's a whole other podcast episode to go into, John. The last thing I wanted to touch on, because I think we've covered everything. I'm going to definitely make sure we don't leave anything on the table that you didn't want to talk about. But one of the things that it had mentioned, before we did this interview, is that this is pretty easy to integrate into a wellness routine. So what is the easiest way someone could grab this device? Like, what do you recommend for someone who wants to try this? Maybe they're just trying to boost wellness, or maybe boost their cognition a little bit more, helping to go against some of the distractions that come with all of our devices and conveniences, or maybe they're in pain. Where would you want that person to begin to start to integrate the Lumaflex into their daily wellness routine?
Yeah, that's the big message. Well, basically, to generate partnerships, to generate, reseller network is showing how you can integrate with this device into everything from a yoga session, Pilates, a stretch session, a massage session, acupuncture, salt therapy, hyperbaric chamber, sauna. Like you can optimize your existing modalities, your wellness modalities by stacking them with red light therapy. And it's going to the product design, something that is liquid. This is liquid silicone. Liquid silicone is a very tough material to use, but after 2 years of development, we created, it's extremely durable. It's very soft to the touch. I get comments a lot just about, the actual feel of the product is quite, it's welcoming. It's like a welcoming sort of nice product feel. But creating this flexible device that allows it to be molded to joints and muscles, and makes it very durable in environments. This is something that you can work out with this device on. There's so much research that shows performance boosting by integrating red light therapy into your actual workout. There was a study done, it's on PubMed, where they discuss about the unfair advantage in competitive sports, where in the future it's going to be almost in the same category as steroids, because if team A is using red light therapy pre-game and team B is not, cellularly they have an advantage, and that needs to be taken note of, in high level competitive sports where, like right. Basketball, or, basketball, for example, is, if like the teams are always so close, right? A slight little advantage could mean, the game, right? Mm-hmm. So that's exciting where, red light therapy is now, the discussion is not like, oh, does it work? From one side, they're saying it works so well, we have to regulate it, in competitive sports, right? We got to be careful. We can't just let everyone use it and not let the other team know. So yeah, like with the Body Pro, with an environment and temperature tested product, this is a product that can integrate into your current wellness routine in whatever it is. With the way you wake up in the morning, you can put it on your head to help you, to get you energized for your day. If you're taking a shower, it can go with you in your shower. If you're at a wellness center and you buy like a circuit, like a longevity circuit, and you do these rounds and you do an IV drip, you may do some cupping, you may do some sauna, you can take it with you and you can stack red light therapy with these existing modalities, and you can optimize what you get back, and you leave knowing that you've got more bang for your buck, so to speak, right? This is an exciting thing that we're developing now. Towards the end of the year, that's sort of the discussion in wellness is they call it hack stacking.
Nice.
Where now it's like, red light therapy and this, red light therapy and this and this. It's nice to be able to fit in there, and I don't see any other devices now that are able to do it. They're not as versatile. We've got that versatility element, right?
Yeah. Your product sounds absolutely genius. I cannot wait to try it. I am definitely going to go buy one myself. Like, I can think of applications for myself, for my family. Does it work on animals? My gosh, I'm totally going to use, my dog's supposed to have surgery in a couple of months. She was actually supposed to do it on Monday, but I decided to wait a couple of months. And I wanted to do energy healing, cognitive movement, and it's her knee. So I know where the injury is. So I could put this device on her and it'll help heal it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Because, like, when I first started getting into light therapy and researching, I saw devices for pets, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And it was like, but now, like in the company, we're having discussions about like, wow, we need to get on top of this. we need to now sell, like little dog pouches or something, so that because people will buy this now for their dog, and the dog, like even at trade shows, at conferences, people will come and they'll say, oh, I want to get one for my dog. It's all, and I was like, wow, this is a whole area. Like something very that's used a lot is in horses, race horses. There are devices out there, like they're like 5 times the size of Lumaflex, that you apply to the horse, and they will spend any money to optimize their horse. Like the horse red light therapy market is huge.
I bet. Yeah, horses are no joke level of money and winnings, and especially like Kentucky Derby and I'm not into horse racing, but I know that there's 3 big races, and if you win all 3 of them, you've got like a ridiculously expensive and valuable horse. And I can imagine they're going to put millions of dollars into keeping that horse's health up, because that horse is going to keep making that money year after year after year. So their ROI is pretty immediate from what you're saying. Right.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. This is so exciting on so many levels. Is there anything else you want to make sure we cover? And I'm going to make sure all of your links to your social handles, all of that are included in there, and especially Instagram, since you invited people to reach out to you and you're going to send them the class. Thank you for that. Please. Is there anything else you want to make sure we cover, John, before we wrap?
Yeah. I mean, right now, my main focus is just to get the education out. We have other products set up for next year, but I'm now very much focused on building our education. So more people that come in and are able to view and actually get benefit from our education is a very, very important thing. But also anyone listening, basically, if you're new to red light therapy, I always say, get on the light train. The train is moving. We're going places. Get on. You're welcome. You're welcome to join. Just get on the light train. Very simple. Go to like YouTube. You don't even need to go to PubMed. You don't need to go to read clinical research. Just go to YouTube, type red light therapy. What is it? Watch a couple of videos, but get on the light train.
Nice.
It's something that I've seen just in my personal life. I've seen profound change, relief, very heartwarming, inspiring stories just in my personal network with my friends and family. And I've heard about, like I had one lady I met on a plane, introduced because I take it with me on the plane, right? To help with my, because I'm international travel. You're kind of right. Am I supposed to sleep or, so it helps to regulate your circadian rhythm. And there was a lady next to me, a sweet lady. She was, what is that? And we got into the discussion, and she had like some loss in her family. She had some, and she had like a sick sister, and then she'll email me. And so I set her up, she got a product. And then she emailed me and she was like, I think it was a miracle I met you. Like things like this. It's very, very, very powerful, very, very powerful. And it keeps not just me, but the entire team and everyone in photobiomodulation very inspired. So, and it's not just pseudoscience or something that is like, oh, it's a fad. Join the train, get on the train. Trust me.
I love it. Get on the light train.
Get on the train.
Yeah. And try the light before the knife. That's something else that was coming to mind. Like for people who are considering surgery, try the light before you try the knife. It's going to be a lot easier. And the worst thing that happens.
That'll be the line I
take it.
Katie.
Take it. Yep. Try the light before you try the knife. I tried a wacky looking ball before I tried a knife, and I never had to go to the knife. So try the light. It could work. It sounds like there's a good chance it will work.
I love that. That is great. That's such a great line. We could get a t-shirt made.
You should.
Get a t-shirt. Try the light before the knife. Bang. Thanks so much. That's a wonderful line. I love it.
Good. Please use it as much as you would like. And thank you so much for your time today, John. This has been so informative. I'm so excited to have this episode get published and have people start to go out, grab Lumaflex, and start to immediately benefit yourselves. And make sure you also utilize John and his offer. Go out to his Instagram. It will be in the show notes. Send him a message. Let him know you heard him on the Catapult Effect, and he will send you that program so you can learn more about red light therapy and the science behind it and how it can benefit you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for joining us today. I know that you have a lot of choices of what you can listen to out there, and I appreciate you spending your time and energy here with us. And until next week, please be well.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review, which helps grow the podcast and reach others just like you. While you're at it, connect with Katie on social media. You can find her on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram as @CoachKTDubs. That's CoachKTDubs. This has been the Catapult Effect with Katie Wrigley. Thanks for listening.